Hey everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you're new to my channel. Either way, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It'll help you out, it'll help me out. So it's a win-win for everybody. Um, so today we're going to take a look at, of course, a 1981 slasher movie. I think of the six movies I have left to review for 1981 here in May, I believe five of them are considered slasher movies. I have to double check that, but this one definitely is. This is from my Severin DVD collection, and that movie is Bloody Moon from 1981 by Jess Franco. So, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Bloody Moon here. A very interesting movie. So, Bloody Moon, uh, I'm not going to try to pronounce the German title. It's a 1981 English language Spanish German slasher film directed by Jess Franco and starring Olivia Pascal. So yeah, it's actually a Spanish German film, but it's English language. But basically the film is about. It starts with Miguel, a young man with a disfigured face, who attempts to trick a girl into sex by putting a mask on and pretending to be her boyfriend. When she unmasks him, he brutally stabs the young one with a pair of scissors. After the crimes, Miguel is institutionalized at a mental asylum for 5 years. When his sentence is finished, he is released into the care of his sister, Manuela, along with their invalid, invalid aunt and Countess Maria Gonzalez. His incestuous sister, Manuela, operates a boarding school for young women called Europe's International Youth Club Boarding School of Languages on the Costa del Sol. On his train ride from the sanitarium, he spots a long haired brunette woman named Angela. Meanwhile, Professor Alvaro arrives at the school to visit Manuela. Maria states that she is being plotted against, and that Manuela only wants her money. That night, Maria lies in bed before she is burned to death with a torch. Angela arrives at the school later than her friends and stays in the room where Miguel killed the girl. While wiping the bathroom mirror, she sees Miguel's reflection reflected before running outside where the man follows her. She is then cared for by her friend Inga, and the two visit Laura, Eva, and the gardener Antonio. Miguel goes to see his sister, and he proclaims his love to Manuela. The two kiss and touch. Manuela stops him, reminding him of the incident years earlier and citing that nobody understands them. So yeah, that's kind of the setup, the premise, the beginning of Bloody Moon from 1981. As far as the cast goes, we have Olivia Pascal as Angela, um, Christoph Moosbrugger as Alvaro, Alexander Werch, Wercher as Miguel, Nadja Gurinoff as Manuela, Jasmine Losensky as Inga, Karina Gilwald as Laura, Anne Beat Ingeld. You gotta love these foreign names, man, when I try to pronounce them. Anne Beat Engelk as Eva, and Peter Escatos as Antonio. We'll go with that. So yeah, anyway, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast of the 1981 Jess Franco movie Bloody Moon. Um, this is an interesting movie. I relatively enjoyed it. I think it has a charm to it. It has a uniqueness to it. Though it has a lot of problems as well. So let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the things that I liked about Bloody Moon. And I have to say, the movie is one of those, excuse me, it's one of those balanced movies. Like it has a slasher template to it, but it also has a giallo sort of mystery going on. And I think that balance, which is actually done pretty well between slasher and giallo, I think other movies try to do that, and it ends up being more giallo in some cases or more slasher in some cases. Something like Schizoid comes to mind. And there's others too, but I think this movie has a nice, well balanced vibe between definitely being a slasher, at least from a template standpoint. You have the kills, the nudity, uh, the who done it, the aspects of 80s slashers that you would expect. But then it's also got a giallo mystery going on where they try to convolute the story a bit, throw out some red herrings, and have some dark silhouettes and shadows in play and things like that. But I actually think it works pretty well from that standpoint. I think they do a nice job of balancing that out. So I think that's really what sets it apart in a positive way from other slashers during this time. Um, a couple of the kills I think are bloody and effective. The kills are kind of a mix overall in this movie. There's some of them that are less than stellar and obviously show the low budget nature of it where they didn't really have the effects to pull it off. And then others of them are pretty well done, pretty good for sure. Um, the large bandsaw kill is probably the most noteworthy. There's another one where a character, a female, gets stabbed in the back and with like a it's like a long sharp not sword but like a machete or a knife, and it comes out her boob in the front, and that one was pretty well done. But there's also a couple having to do with the when the aunt gets burned in bed. That's superimposed basically. There's not really an effect there. There's another one where somebody's getting strangled and they kind of blur it out. Um, so the kills are kind of mixed, but I'm gonna positively spin them, especially the two that I mentioned, the noteworthy ones. The bandsaw kill, I mean, everybody kind of knows that one. That's probably the most famous one from this movie, but there's a couple other good ones too, and they are fairly bloody, less gory, but there's a little bit of gore, but more blood, I would say, on the kills. There are some effective buildup of tension stalking scenes, and I think this is where the giallo part comes in. There's some nice camera shots of the black silhouette and the shadows that are used on the walls. Of course, they do a lot of throwing you off kind of stuff where you think the killer's behind the door and ends up being a more innocent character. Of course, you know, they just do a good job, I feel like, with the tension, with the build up sort of scenes in this movie. That really came through for me. Also, there was quite a bit of topless nudity in this movie. I think six different scenes, and these women are very beautiful in this movie. Let's just be clear about it. And so that's, if nudity is your thing in a slashing movie, you'll definitely get that here. The score is kind of weird, but I think it's effective. It's like a guitar score. Um, Pink Floyd comes to mind. It kind of sounds like that. So it's different. It sets it apart, and I don't think it's terrible. I think it's fairly unique for this movie. And then also the setting I find to be very unique. It's like this school. Let's see, where does it say? Uh, this boarding school for young women called Europe's International Youth Club Boarding School of Languages, which is a long title. It's almost more like a vacation spot, somewhere you'd go where it almost makes me wonder if this setting is was actually like a vacation somewhere south where people go on vacation, but they used it as a boarding school because it has a pool, and that's one of the topless scenes you see. It's just a very interesting setting and provides a very interesting atmosphere as well. So anyway, those are kind of the pros or the things that stand out about Bloody Moon from a positive standpoint. I also would say the acting is fairly serviceable. It's kind of hard when you can clearly tell they're acting in one language and then being dubbed over in another. So, but still, you can get enough out of it. I thought the main girl, Olivia Pascal, does a pretty good job here, just with her reactions, her facial expressions, things like that. Um, yeah, overall, I thought the acting was serviceable. As far as cons go for Bloody Moon, you got to start with the English dubbing once again. And this is kind of a theme of a lot of these movies that I review when they're foreign films. They decide to dub them in English. I know why they do it because they want the American money. Basically, they want the success in America because that's where a lot of money lies, especially during this time. And so they try to make it as appealing and interesting and easy for American audiences to watch the movie as they can. Like I said in one of my last videos, I would almost prefer, because the dubbing's so bad and offbeat in a lot of these movies, I would almost prefer that they just subtitle it. But that's just me. I know I'm on an island to a certain extent with that. But the the English dubbing here is really bad. The audio and the lip movements don't square up. It's obvious. I mean, it might not be the worst I've ever seen of these movies, but it's certainly not good. It's certainly noticeable. I also didn't think the makeup effects on the character of Miguel that were we're introduced to at the beginning of the movie, they talk about him being deformed. Basically, he has an omelet on the side of his face. That's what it looks like. It looks like he got burned by a blowtorch or something on the side of his face, and almost like a flesh wound kind of thing. But it's basically like an egg omelet, maybe a 4 or 5 egg omelet that's on his face, and then skin colored to a certain extent. I that wasn't all that effective for me from a deformity standpoint. He really wasn't all that scary looking to me. Maybe a little unpleasant to look at, but yeah, that effect didn't work for me at all. Excuse me. Some of the kills, this is kind of the other side of it, I guess. I talked about the kills being a mixed bag. I talked about the positive ones, but there's also some that aren't as convincing. They're almost like they use stock footage, cutaway, blurred out kind of kills. Clearly, the low budget aspect of the movie. So I would say the kills across the board aren't all great, but enough of them are to make the movie interesting at the same time. I also didn't think the ending didn't quite stick for me as well. It kind of felt rushed, and the reveal, the twist, and the exposition dump I thought could have been handled better. I kind of saw the twist coming, frankly. I kind of knew. I don't know if I want to give this away or not, but I'm just gonna say I saw the twist coming. It's kind of there's little subtle things that happen early and throughout the movie, um, that if you pay enough attention to, it's not the hardest twist to see coming. I wouldn't say it's the worst twist either. Some people will be surprised by it, but it's not earth shattering in my opinion. But I don't know. The ending of the movie just kind of, for all the build up and everything, and there are a lot of kills towards the end of the movie. Not all of them, but there's a lot of things happening. But I don't know. It just kind of left me a little bit underwhelmed, I guess. There's not an overabundant amount of gore with the kills. I mentioned that already in the mixed aspect. Also, there is kind of an incestuous relationship between Miguel and his sister Manuela. Um, that's kind of weird. And although they don't just put it in there for the sake of putting it in there, I will say that it does play into the story and the ultimate twist at the end of the movie. So I'll at least give them that much credit for it. But yeah, incestuous scenes like that isn't something that I necessarily need to see. It's very disturbing. But and they don't just talk about it. They actually are like, there's kissing involved, there's touching involved. They don't go too over the top with it or anything, but apparently they did have that relationship in the past. But I don't know, guys. Anyway, that's kind of my review for Bloody Moon. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. I think it's a fairly solid foreign slasher film. Like I said, I like the giallo. My favorite thing about it is the giallo and slasher balance that's used in it. Some of the kills, especially this one with the saw, is good stuff. There are bloody kills, not necessarily gory kills, but I enjoy it. 7 out of 10 for Bloody Moon from 1981 by Jess Franco. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of this movie. Do you like it more or less? Why or why not? Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel, as I mentioned earlier. If you haven't already, it would really help me out. And also, you guys won't miss what I have coming up, not just the rest of this series for 1981 horror movies. 5 more to go. Then, of course, then I'm going to have my top 20 1981 horror movies of all times. Well, not of all time for 1981. But anyway, with that being said, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying the series. And as always, stay scared. Bye.